A long time ago, on a comics page far, far away. Greetings and welcome to May the Panel Be With You, the Star Wars comic book show brought to you by the Punch Up Entertainment Network. I'm your humble host, Mike Gargoni, and joining me, as always, the Mirka to my Sammy, it's John Campbell.
Hello, everybody. If we wouldn't get copyright struck for it, I would sing the theme to Cat People by David Bowie right now, but I won't.
And if we wouldn't get copyright struck, I would sing the entirety of Cats, but I won't.
Yeah. Boy, for the cat lovers, if we got an issue for you.
Oh, this is a very jellical issue of Star Wars.
Absolutely. I think I saw Rum Tum Tuggard making a cameo in here. That's all I know.
We are, boy, if you thought last issue, like that weird long issue that was kind of a annual but not, was a strange inclusion in this series, just you hold on, because we're covering issue number 93 of the Marvel Star Wars comic today. It was originally published in March of 1985. And it's a real humdinger. We got writing by Joe Duffy.
What a humdinger, folks.
Well, I say that because we also have pencils by the late, great Sal Buscema. Rest in peace, we just lost him.
Yes, we did. It's a good-looking issue. I will say, the art is pretty good, actually.
We've got inks by Tom Palmer, letters by Rick Parker, colors by Petra Scotese, I think is how to say that name.
Scotese.
And we have our editor as Ann Nocenti and our editor-in-chief as Jim Shooter, of course.
At a certain point, they stop with the jokes because he's like, I don't like it.
Knock it off.
I don't find that very funny.
Knowing Jim Shooter, that's probably exactly how it went down. It's like, I do not find that very amusing. Stop it.
Yeah. I will say, any interview I ever saw with him, such a dull presence. You want him to be like a crazy guy. I think I've said this on it before, because you want him to be like a nut job. Instead, he's just like, when I was editing at Marvel, it was just, and you're just like, oh, you're just like a super boring guy in a suit.
Right.
Yeah.
He did, in fact, run that company like a tyrant, even if he was a boring tyrant.
Yeah, you're going to do what I tell you or you're fired.
I think the Beyonder should have a Jerry Curl, and Spider-Man will teach him how to poop.
Yeah, and I think we all are asking ourselves, obviously, he wouldn't know how to poop. Who's going to teach him? Spider-Man.
Oh, boy. Yeah, so let's get into it. This cover here, we got a big furry hand, a bunch of, let's be honest, cat people silhouetted in the background. And what's this? Han and Luke tied up, sitting on the ground, and somebody saying, "For what you have done to my people, you must die."
Okay, kind of a grabber of a cover.
Yeah, for sure.
I'm like, all right. I will say, I don't know who drew this cover. Not great.
Yeah, I mean, look, there's going to be a lot of Prince Valiant vibes in this issue, and it starts here.
It does. I mean, just the faces are not nearly as detailed as they are in the book itself, and then the just like I don't have time to draw the cat people in the background, so they're just like people with triangular heads.
I don't have time to draw a background, so it is just a plane of green and then a plane of purple faded to orange.
Yeah. It's not. This is a real like, oh shit, did we not draw a cover?
I mean, this whole issue
really put the emphasis into the blaster.
Yeah, this whole issue is sort of a, oh shit, did we forget to write an issue this month? Sal, quick, we need you to whip something up.
Cat people. Yeah.
Yeah.
It is called Cat's Paw.
Cat's Paw. And we open up in a rather dramatic space scene. This really brought me back to the early issues of this series.
Big time. I think the presence of Buscema leads to that, right? Because he is a more old school Marvel artist. So we've been seeing over the course of this comic, as we've gone to the 80s, the sort of incursion of like the next generation of comics artists and stuff like that. And then suddenly here we have a more old school Marvel guy, and it really shows in the style of it. Not necessarily in a negative way, just in a noticeable manner.
And if you've read comics through the ages, right, there is a more recognizable style that comes from the Bronze Age of stuff back in the like late 60s and through the 70s, and then into the 80s you get a very distinct style change in like coloring and inking and just art all around.
Yes.
For those who don't know, Sal, how do you say it? Buscema?
Yeah, Buscema, yeah.
Buscema. I've always said Buscema.
I believe it's Buscema.
I trust you. I just do not know.
Yeah,
long, proud tradition.
Yeah.
Long, proud tradition on the Punch Up Entertainment Network of mispronouncing people's names.
Butchering names. We do our best is always our attitude. But of course, his brother John was also a legendary Marvel artist. Probably a more legendary one, though Sal definitely did a lot as well.
And Sal also comes from an inking background, which shows in a lot of the detail work that he works in.
For sure. They had very different styles, even though they were, brothers, but it's interesting. The Buscemas were both, on the ground floor of Marvel, basically.
Yeah. Sal goes all the way back to like the first issues of Silver Surfer in like the late 60s. And then we have him doing a ton of Avengers and Hulk and X-Men, Black Panther, Submariner. Like he's, like you say, on the ground floor of a lot of this stuff.
Basically any Marvel character you can, like top line Marvel character, he probably drew at some point.
Yeah.
Yeah, he worked on one of my favorite runs, which is the Englehart Captain America run of the 70s, which is a lot of like if you like the Russo brothers, like paranoia stuff, a lot of that comes from Englehart.
Totally.
Establishing that. And I do see it's interesting because I'm looking at his Wikipedia here, Gorgoni, and as you pointed out, it says here, one of his major influences, the comic strip Prince Valiant.
Shocking.
Which I will say, I think really made a big impact on a lot of artists that grew up in that era because it was one of the first like hyper detailed.
Yeah, for sure.
Book. Like it really stood out as like, wow, something that was trying to be photorealistic.
Especially when it came to mass distributed like newspaper print comics. A lot of it was more of a cartooning style, and that was more of a draftsman style for sure.
Absolutely. And hey, go back into the old episodes of the IP Squad, and you can hear us talk about the Prince Valiant movies. There are 2 of them.
Look, do I recommend people go back and read Prince Valiant comics? I don't know if I can, in good conscience, recommend that. But
I will say, someone on those episodes might say you should, and I'll give you one guess as to who it is. Are his initials BJ? Maybe.
Yeah, and look, he spends a lot of time slobbering over old things that I can't in good conscience recommend.
Yeah, this is a guy who is reading omnibuses of Terry and the Pirates for fun,
Sure, and look, I think that to each their own. If our listeners / viewers want to go and read some old Prince Valiant just to like get the vibe of it, totally, you can find a ton of it online. But I don't know if I would necessarily say, oh, you got to read from all the strips from year like 1965 to 1972.
I would say as historical documents, yes. As like enjoyment, a little goes a long way for me with those.
Sure. But as opposed to something like Calvin and Hobbes or The Far Side, where I'm like, oh, you got to get all the collections and read it back to front.
Yeah, and that stuff, because that stuff is, number one, it moves very well.
Yeah.
Anyway, all that is to say, I mean, it's great that he's here, and this is a great page.
Yeah, because we open up on an X-Wing fighter jetting through a star field, being pursued by, what's this? Y-Wings? ?
Yeah, and if you look ever so closely at that cockpit, is that a little cat person in a pilot helmet?
Is that a cat person in a pilot helmet? Indeed it is. If we go to the next page, it is a cat person dressed as a rebel pilot.
Cat face, long flowing blonde hair.
Yeah, let's talk about... I don't know how... John, how deep do you want to go down the furry rabbit hole?
As always, We just want to kind of circle that rabbit hole, probably.
Okay.
Not
and saying
fully
rabbit hole in the
follow it.
furry context has a whole other meaning too. But
Oh, yeah. No offense to our furry listeners.
when it comes to anthropomorphized animals, there are several schools of artistic direction. You can either make them just like humans with animal heads. You can make it
Yes.
so like they are more animalistic but have an upright posture. Or you can like really sort of ignore every other animalistic attribute other than the face and give them like human hair and hands and feet and the whole 9 yards. Don't worry about tails or any of that. And we sort of lean towards the latter in this particular issue.
Mostly, except for the cat faces are very feline.
Yeah, they are. This is what was her name? I said it at the top of the episode. Anyway, this pilot is monologuing to herself.
Oh, I can't. Yeah, I can't. I've forgotten all their names. So she says, she's like, they're almost on top of me. Oh no, I can't die. I have to reach Saijo, which is the name of the planet.
The name of the planet that she's flying to. This is Minka. We will learn that in a few pages.
That's it.
She is a Cantrosian.
Minko. Is there a cat name? Yeah. They don't work very hard on these names.
No.
They all have cat species in their names for the most part, I think.
Yeah. Siamese, Sammy, Minka, Mink,
Yeah. I see what you did here, Joe Duffy. You're not working too hard. Anyway, oh no, she's hit and she lets out a eep.
And she's going down, but she has to reach Saijo. She's looking for another rebel base here.
And then here we are on Saijo.
And we cut to the back alleys of a Prince Valiant comic.
Yeah, what this is. Look, Star Wars is known for being filled with all kinds of odd creatures and characters. I feel like this comic, though, is like, oh, that's a mandate wherever we go. No matter what, we need to fill it with every person needs to be so radically different looking.
But also, like, at least 3 of them are wearing tabards or robes.
Well, yes. Then it's interesting for like as many aliens as you have, they do default often to certain kinds of clothing. For sure.
Yeah, and it's very Buck Rogers-y. It's very like the comic always has on the first page the greatest space fantasy of all time, and this comic really leans into the fantasy aspect to the point where one of our constant refrains is like, oh, and here's a character from a He-Man or a Conan the Barbarian, like full on fuzzy diaper or tabard or robes.
I think Sal Buscema did some Conan.
I'm fully aware of that.
I believe both Buscemas at some point worked on Conan. But it does have, because I think in some way, well, what you're seeing a lot, he also worked on some ROM.
Oh, of course.
Which is, it feels like whenever they're confused or don't exactly know what step to take or design, rather than go back to the movie, they always just default to whatever Marvel's also doing. Yeah. Whether that be their fantasy books like Conan or whether it be the sci-fi stuff like ROM, right? So it is sort of just like, we're still Marvel. And so that's the thing that always, this comic always, regardless of its individual quality, always has this like, yeah, that's Marvel Star Wars. Yeah. Like the modern comics are very Star Wars-y that's published by Marvel. This is very much like Marvel does Star Wars. It's hard to make a lot of this stuff fit aesthetically with the Star Wars we know.
So we have our 3 central characters here on Saijo. We got Han, Luke, and Leia, and they're in admittedly weirdly colored, but their usual get-ups. Han's in a vest, Luke's in his robes, and Leia's in her action jumpsuit.
Yep, ready to hit the discotheque, though, with that color.
Leia in this hot pink. Luke's got his different variation of the white and black that we've seen recently.
Was this some sort of mandate about just like, I don't know, just keep changing it?
Yeah, I don't know. And Han's in a weird, like, umber orange and yellow?
Yeah, we've seen the yellow shirt in a few things, but now the orange vest and pants is a real weird, because we sort of think about black often in comics is portrayed as like heavy inks with usually like a darker blue.
Superman's hair.
Highlight. Yeah, perfect. Orange is a weird choice here, and especially on Han Solo.
Yeah. Well, orange is a secondary color. It like gives a little bit of the scofflaw nature of Han Solo, I suppose.
I suppose this is the first time we're really seeing it drawn like this, but I do like the the awkward dialogue, just like, boy, it sure is great to be here on this planet. Isn't that right? Luke and Leia, who I am talking to.
Oh, if you want an issue for stilted dialogue, you've come to the right place.
Yeah, I do think that also speaks to the rush nature of this. It's like it's very first drafty.
Yeah. I know what you mean, Han. It is a side effect of the rebellion success that I have never looked for.
But it does make a kind of sense, Luke. They all say each other's names. Because Han's saying, Luke, Leia. I agree, Han. You said it right, Luke. That's like one of the first things, like, class 1 of a screenwriting class I took once was like, stop having people say each other's names so much. People don't do that in real life. It's weird. It's weird to do that. I understand there's this, like, because I understand the impulse. It's like, we need to know who's talking to who. We need to know people's character names. Although that's weird in a comic that's this far in, that we're just like, that's Han, Luke, and Leia. And they're supposedly all, like, longtime good friends here.
But this could be someone's first issue Luke, who is completely unfamiliar with Star Wars.
Yeah. I mean, even worse now as he goes, it's crazy the way that they're making they're singing songs about our stories. Princess Leia Organa, who forsook her place in the Imperial Senate to avenge her destroyed world. Luke Skywalker, last of the Jedi Knights who felled the Emperor and the most dreaded of his minions. And me, of course. And then, of course, it turns into a thing, of course, where would we be without Han Solo? He's like, you got that right.
I am my very favorite character. My toys sell very well.
Yeah. Whenever I'm not on screen, everyone's asking, where's Han?
But then, this recap of who these characters are is interrupted as Luke points dramatically into the sky and says, Han, Leia, look up there.
Hold on, friends. There's a story starting over there. An X-Wing in real trouble. And then Luke points out what we
John, an X-Wing ship in real trouble.
I just skipped over it just in my mind. I, for some reason, just blocked out ship. That's so bad. And an X-Wing ship. No one has ever called it an X-Wing ship in anything.
It gets even worse, though, because Leia's here is like 3 Y-Wings, but both of those designations are for ships that we use in the Rebellion.
Yeah, that really, I was like, oh, God. I was reading this last night going, oh, my God. So.
Again, I make some assumptions here that Marvel writers of this era were maybe paid by the word.
Who's our ally and who's our enemy? That sounds like a naturalistic line of dialogue for Leia. Yeah. Sweetheart, when I see 3 against 1, I draw my own conclusion about who the good guys and bad guys are.
That's an okay Han line.
What? It's an okay Han line, except for... What?
Also, there's a scroll behind him.
Yeah. There is just a straight-up scroll. They're onto me. Yeah, so... anyway, they're like, let's figure out what's going on. And they all run towards the action.
What they're seeing
they run
is...
to the Millennium Falcon.
They see that X-Wing that is trailing smoke through the sky, falling to the Earth, and those 3 Y-Wings are in hot pursuit. Now, for whatever reason, as this X-Wing crashes and the Y-Wings, again, in hot pursuit, they are spaceships flying very, very fast, our 3 heroes have time to run back to the Millennium Falcon, get into the Millennium Falcon, take off, everyone gets to their positions, catch up with these Y-Wings, and then also shoot them down.
We've seen the Millennium Falcon take off whenever it doesn't just like right away. Like it takes a set. You got to.
But it does. You see it here in the middle panel, John. It goes. Pew.
Yeah. It's. I mean, the way this happens, they're running, and then it is. Oh, also, hey, look, another Marvel cameo, kids. There's the Green Goblin back there.
Oh, nice. See, I thought it was the Impossible Man.
Why not both? The weird long limbs on him is disturbing.
Yeah. But yeah, they managed to do this very, very fast, is my point.
Yeah, because this is all still happening and they just get word that the ship has crashed as they're in midair.
Luke, I just heard from the control tower on Saijo. The X-Wing pilot has crash landed and is asking for aid. He's a member of the Alliance, and the other 3 ships aren't answering any hails.
That's okay, Han. We know what we have to do. Ready, Leia? Whenever you are, Luke. Jesus.
So yeah, they shoot him down.
Mm-hmm.
With a boom, and a vorp.
Yep, they love to use the Falcon turrets in this comic, actually even more than the movies do, which is fair. Because they're pretty cool.
They're pretty cool. And we very rarely get to see both turrets manned at the same time. Really, I think it's just in A New Hope.
I think you're right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Great shooting, you guys. All 3 ships and only 2 shots. The other ship went down near here. I want to check out to see how the pilot is doing.
It really does feel like that, yeah. There's so little character in these lines, which is really rough after you've seen Empire and Jedi. I mean, it's already starting to become present in New Hope, but once Kazan starts writing them, particularly Han and Leia are so snappy and witty, and now they're just going, help me out here. I'm going to the ship now, Luke.
Well, it's especially disappointing because, like, something we've lauded Jo Duffy on so far in her run is that, like, she does get the voice of these characters a lot of the time.
Yes, our issues are more with story, but oftentimes her characters, because, I mean, all right, so we get to the crashed ship. What does Leia say? Han, is he? She's still breathing, Leia.
We have to get her back to the base, fast.
Yeah.
Having Han be the one who's, like, super concerned and dragging this person out of the ship, like, that feels a little... Not that Han wouldn't do that, but, like, especially with Luke there, you'd think Luke is the first one out and, like, hitting the ground running. Yes. He's the rash one.
Yes, I would absolutely think that. He also has the Force powers, which would seem to help.
You'd think.
Potentially, should there be, danger about.
But anyway, hard cut to a medical place. I don't know where we are here.
Yeah, I would say Saijo's a little underdeveloped, other than the description that it was a backwater world that got particularly hard hit by the Empire, they said at the beginning.
Yeah. Not that we see any evidence of that.
Fine here. We get not 3PO.
Yeah, we have the droid from Metropolis here as they're ministering to Minka. Colored.
Yeah. Who just straight up looks like a full-on Muppet here.
Yeah. She's got these, like I said, cat face, long blonde hair that comes down across her back, and cat ears coming out of her hair. So it's very much the, like, as close to human as we can get, but still have a cat face.
You say you came from an asteroid base in the Kantros system, Minka? Yes. Why, that's an awfully long way from Saijo. Especially for an unescorted one-flyer ship, like an X-Wing ship. No, he doesn't say that part, but it does. But yeah, she talks about she came with a fleet, but they all got killed.
And they were looking for the nearest rebel base, but because her system, Kantros, is still under attack by the Empire, which of course is a eyebrow-raising moment for our heroes because but Minka, the Empire is gone, asterisk, and the Emperor is dead, asterisk.
Yeah, the way, always asterisks on that. But somehow, Gorgani, he'll be back.
I know.
I don't know how. Somehow. Anyway, I do. Yeah,
he'll be back in 1996 when we read Dark Empire.
Yeah. Can we stop bringing him back?
Never.
Just like are we out of ideas?
Yes.
Now I'll always find a way back. Yes. Bankrupt. I need money. So let's see. So I do like the way she's just like, oh, but honey, the Emperor's dead. It's all over. What?
They say like small forces of the Imperials have regrouped, but in most of the outlying sectors so far, it's really just been up to us to do some cleaning up. And Minka's like, but that can't be. Who have we been fighting the whole time?
I do think this indicates in a bad way. Like, I've been wanting them to address this, the idea that like Imperial factions would still exist places.
Mm-hmm.
But this makes our characters seem dumb that they haven't even considered that might be the case. Where they're just like, no, that can't be right.
But also Minka here is saying that like our spies have told us that the enemy is answering to Palpatine himself.
Yeah.
Which of course is concerning to our heroes, and so they decide to join with Minka and go off to Kantros to figure out what the heck is going on.
Yes. Indeed. So why don't we go and why don't we all go and find out, says Luke.
Meanwhile, on the planet of the cat people.
I don't recognize that ship. It's all right. They've been in contact. Minka's aboard. She's brought help from the rebellion. Brilliant. We definitely needed that panel.
Yeah, and now we get even more stilted dialogue as we land and talk with the Cantrosians, who are Minka's friends, and they talk about how they've been fighting with the Empire, and but they still can't really explain why they have rebellion ships. But yeah,
how do you think Joe Duffy wrote Catrosians and then went no, too close?
Nowhere in this book does it say Cantrosians. Where I'm getting that name from,
because it's the asteroid world of Kantros.
It's Kantros, but the term Cantrosian does exist, but it wasn't used until 2008. I want to say.
Oh, Star Wars canon.
It was introduced as a mention in the novel Coruscant Nights 2: Streets of Shadows.
Streets of Shadows.
So, if you have not read the Coruscant Nights books, I do kind of recommend them as an interesting little sideshow. They are I
have not.
They are pulp neo-noir set in the Star Wars universe. Sure. And they star a Jedi Knight who has to become like a private detective in the wake of Order 66 to like survive on the dark underbelly of Coruscant.
Yeah. What is it? What Knights?
Coruscant Nights.
Coruscant Nights.
Yeah, exactly.
Is it anything like Baywatch Nights?
No.
That's a rewatch we keep threatening to do over on Meet the Monsters / Meet the Slashers, because that was where, after he hung up his lifeguard duty for the day, David Hasselhoff went and fought monsters.
Sure, yeah, of course.
That was a real show they made, folks. I have no idea why. Anyway, what's her name again?
Minka.
Minka, of course. I'm trying to. Anyway, she's like, check it out, guys. I brought some real live rebels, including the 3 most important ones. And so they presumably tell them what's going on here. Although Han's like, hey, man, this is, I don't know about this.
Because he says
there's never been any Imperial activity in this sector.
Well, he specifically says when the Imperial leaders surrendered, some of them were eager to win points for our side. We got detailed maps showing just where all the major Imperial strongholds were, and the nearest ones were back beyond Saijo.
Yeah. So what you talking about?
What you talking about, Minka?
Explain yourself. They're just like, well, then who? I just like this, like, well, then explain who's killing everyone.
And they really can't.
Yeah, we don't know. We just got here.
Yeah, but they're like, okay, Minka, come with us. We're gonna figure out what's going on. There are these other 2 Cantrosians here. One is named Sammy, and the other is named Dern.
Yeah. Or Durnay, maybe? I don't know.
Dern, I don't know. Anyway, one of them's got a blonde perm and is a white cat, and the other one has Oompa Loompa hair. That's how I distinguish them.
The white cat with the blonde perm is so funny because even more so than Minka, it looks like they just put a wig on a cat. It looks like someone took their cat and put a wig on it and used that as reference.
You know who he looks a little bit like?
So fucking goofy.
The Beyonder, if the Beyonder was a cat.
Actually, yes. Yep. Jim Shooter's going, this speaks to me.
I hope this doesn't awaken anything in me.
Yeah. I wonder if it knows how to poop. We'll never let it go, Shooter.
No,
you hear us?
Never.
From the great beyond. We lost him recently.
So here's the thing. At this point, we kind of get the idea that Luke, Leia, and Han have actually not introduced themselves to Minka or any of these people by name, because Sammy starts asking, like, oh, you rebels seem to know what's going on, clearly not knowing any of their names, because otherwise he'd be saying them out loud like every other character does.
Hey, they were writing songs about us on Sideshow.
Right. And Luke kind of cuts in before Han can introduce them and say, we're the ones the leaders send out when the important members of the rebellion are elsewhere. We're just here to, like, take part in the fight. Trying to, like, underplay these three's importance.
Yeah, we're just a couple of friendly folk.
And, like, the reveal of who the three of them are to the Cantrosians will actually be an important plot point later in this issue. So I guess Minka and Sammy are just traveling with these three without knowing their names or who they are?
It really does seem like they're like, hey, Minka, go get us some rebels. Okay. And then she happens to get the three most important ones. But really, she's just like, look, rebels.
And, like, she's just trusting that these three... I mean, obviously, it's Luke, Leia, and Han, but, like, yeah, I don't know. There's a lot in this book that is just, like, we're accepting it because we, the reader, know these three characters, but there's a lot of unasked questions from the two... like interloper characters who our three heroes are solving their problems for.
Yeah, it does just kind of be like, okay. And it was just, and also it really worked out because, you know, she went to the nearest rebel base, which happened to be Sideshow. And that just happened to at that moment be visited by the three greatest heroes of the rebellion.
Who, there was some dropped line at the start of the issue where Han was just like, well, it's weird the brass sent us out here on a diplomatic mission, whatever that means.
Yeah, well, just, you know us, looking around for trouble should it come our way. Because let's get going, story. Come on.
Last we saw of Mon Mothma and Admiral Akbar, they were saying, like, well, we kind of need to cut these three out of making leadership decisions. So I guess sending them off to a backwater would make sense.
That has not come back around as of yet, really?
Well, it came up a little bit last issue in, like, the big extra long one because, like, there were important decisions being made and these three had to deal with the aftermath of an annual.
Yes. But, like, that was such a big, like, and they're banned from making decisions, bum, bum, bum. And then it was just sort of, you know, they're off doing other stuff.
No, we got to deal with those two guys, one of whom became a Sith Lord, and then these cat people.
Yeah. And, of course, that's definitely been massively important.
Yes, of course. Speaking of massively important, they're under fire, because as they're going to go investigate a different world where apparently these quote-unquote Imperials have been spotted and where the fighting has been happening, they are under attack. So the Millennium Falcon gets shot, and Luke is like, hey, can you make it look like we're crash landing? And Han's like, I don't have to make it look like anything. We're crashing.
Yeah. Once again, the Millennium Falcon is crashing.
How many times has the Millennium Falcon crash landed in this book? Dozens?
And of course, as always happens, Han's like, but at the last minute, I was just able to pull us enough for us to survive it and the ship to be marginally okay.
Yeah. So they crash land. Hang on tight, everybody. We get a big pink explosion as the Falcon lands.
Although, when we see the Falcon landed, it seems to be in perfect shape. All of its landing gears are down on a completely flat surface. There's just some smoke around.
Yeah. That means it's kind of damaged, John.
Yeah. Something's wrong with it. Don't know.
Yeah. I mean, to look at the Falcon, how could you tell if something was broken, huh?
Well, I guess it's a piece of shit, right? Which is always one of those funny things where it's like, to us and the audience, it's the coolest ship maybe ever. Like, real, it's got to be one of the coolest designs in the history of science fiction. But then there was like, what a hunk of junk.
Yeah.
Because I like, once again, and then Leia goes, Han, can you repair the damage? No sweat, but first I want to look around and make sure there's no one coming to put more holes in the Falcon. What's wrong with the Falcon?
It's got some holes.
Yeah.
We can't see them. Don't worry about it.
Yeah, we'll talk. We can also just talk about the satellite dish just being returned.
You are always on the frickin' satellite dish. What if they got the new one?
I'm always on about the satellite dish because it's such a key point in Return of the Jedi that it gets knocked off. That's like the damage Lando does to it.
Sure, but like, you think he couldn't have found a different one?
Maybe. They never replaced the escape pod.
That's, you know what? Fair enough.
Han never got a new escape pod.
That's true. It's absolutely true.
Mm-hmm. I'm just saying. And then at some point, they'll put a square dish on it.
That's also true.
Mm-hmm. Anyway, I'm very... Starship design is one of my real nerdy specific focuses. Anyway,
speaking of specific focuses,
we were doing this Star Trek,
they're looking around and they're like, "Uh-oh, we can't get out of this box canyon that we crash landed in. The only option here is for Luke to levitate us up this cliff face."
And he does that in the most like Jack Kirby kind of fashion of like full on Doctor Strange shit right here.
If you just relax and let me use the Force.
This is pretty wild.
As Leia and Minka are levitated like they're dolls in cellophane wrapping being lifted up out of this canyon.
I'm not saying, of course you could do this with Force abilities, but we just don't see people do this kind of stuff. I mean, not quite to this example, the idea of straight up, like a straight up elevator.
Yeah, I mean, again, yeah, there's no
with
reason.
People.
Every time we...
No, there's no reason it couldn't happen. It's just weird to picture.
The few times I can tell you off the top of my head of like actually levitating people up and over onto like walls and stuff, it's always been the person being levitated kind of like flailing, going like, whoa.
Yeah, here, once again, just the way it's drawn here is they're just perfectly ramrod straight. And I said, if Luke is using the Force as an elevator, just go...
I mean, honestly, if they were perfectly ramrod straight, it'd probably be easier on Luke.
Sure. It's just weird. I'm not saying it's bad. I'm not saying it's impossible. It's just strange. It's just a strange image to see.
If you're joining us on YouTube, yeah, there's two panels here, one of Leia and one of Minka being levitated up by Luke, and it looks weird.
It's also one of those things where it's like, why actually don't they do this all the time if it's this easy?
Because you're in a sci-fi setting and getting up a wall is usually not that hard.
Yeah, but here it is, and it's just so we can do some Force stuff.
Sure. But 2 out of 5 ain't bad.
That also takes a lot out of him, as we see here.
Right.
He's going to need to take a nap.
Well, specifically, Han says he'll have to rest a while before he sends you up, talking to Sammy, the Beyonder cat.
Which I gotta say, in terms of uses of the Force, this feels pretty low level.
Yeah, maybe Minka is like more dense than she looks and is like the weight of an X-Wing.
Because Yoda didn't that well, and Yoda was old. And I think he had to take a breather, but he seemed to get right back to it in Empire after he lifts up that X-Wing.
Yeah.
Anyway, they're not. He doesn't have that while, is what the villain line here is.
Yeah, because from off panel, someone is here and they have guns. And what's this? It's more cat people.
Can I say my favorite cat is Cat in Overalls?
Cat in Overalls is pretty good. I'm a big fan of Rum Tum Tugger here in the center.
Rum Tum Tugger in a Battlestar Galactica uniform?
Yeah, for sure.
Or how about White Cat that's just barely in the panel?
Yeah.
We couldn't squeeze me in?
No. It's just giving us the idea that there's lots of them, and they all have guns.
It will take more than a sorcerer's tricks to save you, now that we've caught you.
Should have guessed there'd be an easier way in and out of here.
I gotta say, and Han says blast, which I think is just such a comic book thing.
Yeah. Blast.
Any character will say, blast. Blast. I was literally reading an Avengers comic the other day, and it was Captain America going, blast. And you're just like, it's just so weird to imagine anyone saying that out loud as like a human being.
I'm going to have to start working that into my like daily vocabulary and see what people make.
Blast.
Foiled again.
Blast. Yeah, I know. It feels like kind of a villain thing to me. Where it's like, blast, my plans are falling apart. Like if a Bond villain said it, I'd be like, sure.
Right.
Anyway.
Leia and Minka are observing from the shrubs. saying that Minka's saying like, hey, we should help. And Leia being like, and get caught ourselves? No, we'll just follow them and keep out of sight.
Fuck that shit, man.
I
thought that was a wild line for this comic. Wow, such language. Anyway, so they're gonna go. They're gonna follow this and see where it goes. And surprise, surprise, they're being shoved in a cave.
They get tied up, their arms bound behind them, they get their weapons taken from them, they get shoved into a cave, and we have this group of surly cat people who are arguing about what to do with them, and torture is definitely on the table here.
You want to torture? I kind of want to torture them, if you ask me, actually. It'd be pretty cool if we tortured them.
Now,
and we see all their weapons have been piled up over in the... I guess the idea is that Luke was so worn out from lifting those people that he couldn't do shit.
Well, it's really clear at this point that Luke starts to he's just going along with it so he can learn stuff.
Yeah.
Because Luke specifically has a line here that says, I don't think we need to worry about dying just yet. I'd like to listen for a while longer and find out what these people are up to.
I also love Han's line of so, you guys got any plans? I got nothing. Anybody?
But the dialogue here starts getting exceptionally tortured as to delay the reveal of what is actually going on here. Because we have these cat people who have captured them arguing about what to do. And the rum-tum tugger of the bunch says, I say we put them to torture. They'll answer our questions readily enough if the persuasion is right.
And then overall guy is like, you're right. Let me help you with it. I owe their kind for all of our group who've suffered and died. God, that's just such a line of dialogue.
All of our group who have suffered and died.
Suffered and died, yeah. It's just
who talks like that?
I know it's comic books, but I do it should still something Ed Brubaker said, the great Ed Brubaker, I should always quantify, that I think is very true. When we talk about comic book dialogue should read very easily on the page, even if it seems strange when you say it out loud. This reads weird and sounds weird.
Well, especially because
often dialogue is it's not a movie, right? The dialogue can be clunkier in a comic book, but it should still just kind of flow as if it's conversation.
Well, especially because they're dancing around who they themselves are.
Yeah,
it's why would they do that amongst themselves?
All of us who belong to a certain society. Yeah. Luke, don't you think you've listened long enough? Han is kind of right about they said torture, Luke. Torture. So let's get going.
But Luke says, not yet, Han. Be patient. This is getting interesting. Luke seems to have figured out what's happening here.
Mm-hmm. Shut up, Han. I'm getting all the hot goss.
Meanwhile, they're lighting torches and bringing up rope, being like, all right, let's start torturing. Start with the stupid-looking one.
Hey! He knew it was him.
But then this all-white cat knocks the flaming brand out of his hand and says, what are you doing? Why would you do that? If we do that, we're betraying everything the rebellion stands for. What?
And then Han and other cat that was captured with them say, the rebellion!
Dun, dun, dun.
I don't understand. And I like that Han's like, you were the one paying attention to what they were saying. I tuned them out long ago. What do you think it means?
And Luke's being like, look, isn't it obvious that someone's been deceiving someone here? So it's like, yeah, of course, there's something.
But it's still the vagaries of someone is deceiving someone. We belong to a certain group. It's all just like, what?
Yeah. But Luke says, don't worry, I've been working it out, and we can see behind Luke's back that he's untied himself at this point.
Oh, of course.
So we have these cats still talking amongst themselves, and they say, what's the good of overthrowing tyrants if we become tyrants ourselves in doing it? Don't you see? How we do things is just as important as what we do. But then
and here's a pretty brutal line. No, Niru, those scruples are weak. Your enemies can use them against you, and so destroy all that you have worked for. These prisoners should die. Kill them at once.
Yeah. A shadowy other
man.
cat has emerged from the background. I love that this
ethics make you weak is what this guy's point is.
I love that the comic casts this cat's face in shadow as if we in fear of recognition that the reader might know who
I
this
know
is.
that cat.
Yeah.
No, it's just another cat person.
Right.
Okay.
It's not until we get to the next page and Jerry Curl Cat says, Dern, at which point I went, wait, Dern, where did I read that? And I had to flip back to the start of the issue and go like, oh yeah, that is a name they said like 10 pages ago.
Right. Dern. Huh? Okay. Not Dern.
Dern, our most trusted ally.
Son of a bitch. And so Dern says, my agents have been in touch with the enemy covertly. There is nothing any prisoners can tell us that we don't already know. We already have all the information we could ever need. Kill them.
Before they spread dissension with their lies.
Yeah, they might make up some stuff. We have all the real information. Anything they say would probably be made up to confuse us.
Uh-huh.
Wow. Great leadership here.
So it turns out that Dern, who we learned at the start of the issue was the spy master for the Cantrosians on Cantros 7, where Minka and Sammy are from, has been telling... he's the source of the information that they've been fighting the Empire A and that these guys still answer to Palpatine. And apparently he's been telling the same thing to this group about the other group. So they both think they're fighting the Empire and they both think they're rebellion.
God, that's sweaty.
Yeah. And again, like I can understand this plot if this guy in particular was working for like some larger imperial cell, or if this system had some kind of relevance to the larger conflict. But as we read it here, it really does just seem like this one asshole making these two groups fight.
He's just a piece of shit who's doing this because he wants to. Like he just wants to be an asshole.
Look, if all of Kashyyyk can be like brought back under the heel of slavers by one guy named Knives, maybe this whole system can be engulfed in conflict by one jackass.
That guy's got knives. We better go back into slavery.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, yeah, it's the world of Star Wars is so easily manipulated in this comic. I do like Han saying, "Hey, Whiskers, step over here and repeat that last part. That part about the lies." You.
Why would he be insisting that these prisoners get killed if he didn't already recognize who they were?
Just the idea that anyone might possibly poke any hole in his story. He's like, better just kill him.
Yeah. So a lot of these, like, quote-unquote Imperial Cantrosians are like, maybe we should hear what they have to say. And Dern's like, no, we need to kill them now.
Yeah, no, that'd be crazy. Only a crazy person would listen to their obvious lies. Right?
You idiots. You'll ruin everything if you listen to them. Of course they're lying. They're all lying. All spies lie. Am I a spy? I think I'm also a spy. Anyway, they'd say anything to buy themselves a few more seconds of life.
Yeah, right? No, and I know you dummies will believe it probably because you're stupid. Stupid, I say.
He pulls a gun. He points it at the prisoners, but Luke is like, okay, now it's time for me to take care of this.
Yeah, I don't think so, buddy. And he does. He uses the Force.
Well, he gets free, but then somebody shoots Dern's gun out of his hand, and what's this? Hey, it's Leia.
Yeah, I guess he just unties himself. I guess he doesn't use the Force.
Well, maybe he used the Force to untie those knots. We don't know.
Well, the way that they show it, where he goes, I guess this has gone on long enough, and he like puts his head down, and there's sort of this aura around him. I guess that's him using the Force.
Sure.
To possibly untie the rope.
Yeah.
I will say it could be the most casual use of the Force I've seen.
I don't know. I think Obi-Wan's use of making it a guy quit smoking and rethink his life was probably...
Well, there's still mind control involved, though. That's you
fair.
know, over... Don't get me started on Sleaze Bagano. I could go all day.
Anyway, yeah, Leia and Minka are here, and they are confronting the situation.
Yes, indeed. And so, so the gun is shot, and then here's a question: how long did they follow them, and how close did Leia and Minka get?
This close. They're here right now.
How long have they been this close, though?
Oh.
Have they just been watching this play out?
Who knows? Better question, why didn't Leia shoot this guy in the face?
Because this comic is real weird about murder.
Yeah.
Sometimes it's super casual. Other times it wants to avoid it at all costs.
I think it really comes down to like how human looking the thing getting murdered is.
Right, because they'll off a stormtrooper like nobody's business, because that's a faceless, soldier of fascism. But a cat person, just shoot the gun out of there. They love to shoot the gun out of someone's hand, which you almost never see in actual Star Wars. They pretty much shoot to kill in the movies and stuff.
For sure. Because, it's really hard to shoot guns out of people's hands.
Yeah, it's actually way hard to do that and just shoot someone's center mass.
Yeah.
And also, there's that bit about it being a war in the title.
Yeah, that too.
Which generally people get killed. There's a certain level of stakes that are just promised by calling it Star Wars.
Yeah, but anyway, they're leaping down. The other cat people are like, "What the hell is going on?"
Hey, everybody, what's going on?
So then a firefight ensues because everyone's confused about everything, and it's understandable.
Because it's confusing.
Yeah. Meanwhile, Dern is scrambling for his gun while Leia and Minka are freeing Han and Sammy.
And then a firefight ensues.
Yep.
And Leia says, "I hate firing on fellow rebels, but believe me, you'll thank us for this when you wake up and we sort the mess out."
This is another instance where they say, hey, keep your blasters on stun, but this comic book doesn't know what stun settings on blasters look like. Which has always been the case in this book.
Yeah, even though they literally show it in the first movie.
Yeah.
In like very early in the first movie even.
Yeah, but drawing blue circles is hard, John.
Is it? I mean,
have you ever tried to draw a blue circle, huh?
I can't draw worth shit. Don't bring me into this. I've always said if I had any aptitude, I would have firmly gone into drawing comics if I showed any promise, but I had none. I have no ability at that. I always wish I did. I got every book about how to draw comics the Marvel way as a kid and stuff, and just I couldn't draw Spider-Man. Much as I tried.
One of my favorite alternate art covers was one of Zdarsky's Daredevil covers, like how to draw Daredevil. Yes. It's like, start with a circle, start with some lines, then draw Matt Murdock, who is also Daredevil.
I love, if you ever get the chance to see, people have had Tom King draw on the blank covers of like Batman and his little stick figure with the bat ears, because he's a writer. I need to find it. It's here in my archive of stuff though. A doodle that Cullen Bunn did at a comic signing that we were at once that he gave me, and just not an artist once again, but he and Tyler Crook were doing a what was the name of their comic? Harrow County?
Oh, yeah.
They were at a signing of that, and they had a draw-off to each draw a zombie.
Oh, fun.
And then they just gave it to, I think Donovan got the other one.
Huh, nice.
Yeah. But I saw where I like that I have the Cullen Bunn one, which is the worst one, but also I feel like they're rarer.
I definitely have a front plate of Tyler Crook stuff from Harrow County. He drew the skinless boy in a bikini, and it was like, oh, okay.
Yes. Oh, I think you might have gotten what he drew then, actually. I think that was the other thing. And then I have the maybe it wasn't zombies. I think maybe it was Haints from that book.
Yeah, totally.
But yeah, I have.
Okay, we're talking about a better book now, and that means we really don't like this issue.
Oh, comics can be good, you guys.
I swear they can be.
And then Luke uses the Force, which once again is just so dramatic in this comic, to pull his lightsaber to him.
It does sort of be the right color It's like blue
I'll give him
turning
that.
into green, and he draws the lightsaber like it's supposed to look for one of the two panels it's in.
I kind of like the idea, and I think this is one of the few times I've ever seen it, of someone not only blocking a blaster shot, but diving with the blade to block it.
Yeah.
That's kind of a cool idea. I'm not sure I love how it's executed here, but he does just bounce it right back into the guy, but of course he takes it in the shoulder.
Yeah, so Dern gets his shot reflected back at him, and that kind of stops the fight.
Yang!
Because Dern was trying to shoot one of the Imperial, quote-unquote, Cantrosians here to shut her up, because she was the voice of reason.
Which, by the way, man, I mean, pack it in at this point. It's over.
Because that stops everybody being like, hey, Dern was trying to kill one of our guys, and then this guy with a lightsaber came out of nowhere and stopped her? But wait a minute.
By the way, it took to now for you to feel that way?
When they disarmed Luke and took his lightsaber away, they didn't figure this out?
Yeah. Oh.
Because everyone stops and be like,
stupid.
Hold on, he's using a lightsaber. But there's only one rebel who would use a lightsaber.
And he wields it as like a master.
But we've heard...
Are you what you appear to be? The Empire destroyed most of the Jedi Knights, but we've heard of one who serves the cause of freedom. And Han's like, that's him, my buddy.
Luke Skywalker? But that makes you Han Solo and Princess Leia Organa.
Oh boy.
Our heroes? Question mark, exclamation point.
Yeah. Couple of things. Why did they hide their identities?
No idea. Doesn't make any sense. Luke.
Yeah, so why they don't know that this is them, and then number two, why they continued to let them believe it wasn't them.
Luke has a line earlier. Again, it feels like him trying to reclaim a little bit of humility when he says, like, hey, we're just rebel fighters like anyone else. Like, he doesn't want to be hailed as a hero. But
I guess that's supposed to tie back to the thing about, like, I'm not comfortable with them writing songs about us.
Right, but it leads us to believe that up till this point, they've been going around with Han, Luke, and Leia, with those three having never introduced themselves, which is wild.
Yeah. Yeah, we're just rebels. Rebels 1, 2, and 3.
Uh-huh.
What? Yeah, this is not a good issue. Hot take.
Want to talk about really lame. Our bad guy Dern is getting away, and how do they stop him? Well, one of the other cat people leans a leg out and trips him.
I got him. All right. He's done. Ow.
Just
and then they tie him up.
Absolutely so lame.
Lucky for him, we rebels are above things like killing or torturing prisoners.
Says the guy who was just about to kill and torture some prisoners.
Yeah, also, depends what you mean by rebel. I've seen some shit in some of the Star Wars content.
And look.
Talk to Saw Gerrera sometime.
Yeah. Poor Gullet.
Yeah, there's some pretty gnarly rebels out there.
But anyway, yeah, now we got our denouement of just like all these cat people coming together being like, shit, we killed a lot of each other, didn't we?
Yeah. Boy, we really got taken for a ride. Yeah, am I right? All right.
I guess we
win,
sort of, and lose, sort of.
Yeah, there's gonna have to be a lot of investigating for these people and some soul searching, and like it's not gonna be good.
Yeah, and we try to have this moment at the end of the issue with Luke here having this introspective moment as he says, I know, but it won't bring back all the dead rebels, killed by rebels. We killed a few of them ourselves, you know.
I don't know what okay.
He just seems troubled by the fact that, like, there's a lot of confusion out there in the galaxy right now, and they don't have any control over any of it, which is just like, yeah, my dude, that's life.
Yeah, I know. It is. You just, I don't know. You just want. I understand what this happens a lot in this comic. I understand what Joe Duffy's trying to do, and she's on the right track. Like the idea of like, we won this war. There were costs. Now we actually have time to reckon with the ethics of it. But it always sort of just feels jammed in like this. And I'm always just kind of like, what are you specifically talking about, Luke? This really isn't on them.
Yeah.
Per se.
Yeah.
And in fact, they even make it clear, which is super annoying to really simplify the black and white nature of this, that Han specifically is like, who could believe there was one bad actor? That's it. Once we got him, everything's fine. And you're just like, boy, that really simplifies like a war crime.
Because Luke has this question here at the end of just like, I will feel a lot better if we can just find out who Dern was really working for. Because like, yeah, we have this one guy who's trying to like spin up this conflict between rebel cells into believing that they each are also Imperials that are still active. And it's just like, why?
Right.
Why do any of this?
Yeah, I don't know what he was gaining from that other than I mean, I guess that gave him some level of power by being the guy.
We're making inferences at this point, and we're never going to get any answers because this is the last we're going to hear of this character.
In a word, Gorgoni, chaos.
Yeah, some cats just want to watch the world burn.
That seems to be what it is. He was just like, why did I do it? Because it was fun.
Yeah.
Which actually, if he said that, I'd be like, damn. That's pretty dark.
We get no explanations for why this guy.
No, Lord, no. Who could care? Yeah. Who could care? When the issue's over, it's another issue that just kind of stops.
But there's trouble brewing
out of pages.
Among the forces of the Alliance, and disaster looms in our next issue, Small Wars.
For those who are too tired of big wars.
We can't have a Star Wars. We're going to have a Small Wars.
Yeah. The less successful spin-off franchise.
I will say, the next issue's cover does feature an Ewok standing victorious over the decapitated head of a Stormtrooper. It's probably just the helmet, but I'd like to think there's a head still in that helmet.
I always imagine there's a head still in there, and I also imagine they ate the rest of them. Hey, it's canonical. Yeah, they eat people.
Let's not forget that Ewoks eat people.
Yeah. In fact, they seem to really like it.
They love the taste of humanoid flesh. It's true.
Yeah, like they really want to eat people.
Yeah.
A lot glossed over about the Ewoks.
Look, we'll strap in because next issue is an Ewok issue. I'm just giving you a warning right now.
A preview of things to come when we have an Ewok comic.
And an evil French grasshopper. We'll get to it.
There you go. Well, is that better or worse than Kevin Spacey Grasshopper? That's all I'm saying.
Tough call. Tough call.
Never forget, kids, Kevin Spacey's in a Pixar movie.
It's true. Never forget.
Yeah. Never forget. Pixar. In fact, everything should describe him now as Pixar actor Kevin Spacey.
Oh God, no.
Hired by John Last.
Whoops.
All right. Yeah. Well, there you go, folks. That's this issue. And if you want more from us, you can head over to our Patreon page. What something we also don't mention is you can get these episodes a week early over there too. If you're a $10 patron, you can actually watch these episodes, their video episodes, for a whole week in advance. That's pretty fun. And the place you can check that out is patreon.com/punchupenth. That's punchupent. Like I said, you get cool exclusive bonus content, early episodes, and you help support the shows on the Punch Up Entertainment Network. Make everything better, get us better equipment and such like that. We greatly appreciate people's patronage. Where else can people check us out, Griani?
If you're on Island Time but still want to support us, you can watch them not a week early over on YouTube. That's youtube.com/@punchupentertainment. There you can watch this show, read the comic along with us. You can get all of our YouTube exclusive shows over there, like some of our Material Components mini campaigns. We have the return of the action shelf and the horror shelf over there, as well as soon to be, due to podcast time travel, not exactly sure how this lines up, but I believe our MCU like retrospective series has started up as of recently.
Pretty sure that started up now because we're a few episodes ahead on this show.
Right.
So
but
I think that's started now.
Our we have started to put together the pieces of the Doomsday Machine over there, and we are going back through the MCU in preparation for Avengers Doomsday, and John and I are taking a look back at kind of where we were as, like, individuals and in our lives, and how we kind of responded to the building of the MCU as it got its earliest starts back in 2008.
Indeed, yeah. It's a nostalgic trip down memory lane that also has a lot of superheroes and punching.
Like any good nostalgia trip, in my opinion.
I agree.
But I think that is probably going to do it for us this week. As always, I have been Mike Ergoni.
I'm John Campbell.
And remember, may the panel be with you.